Hello, darkness. My old friend, I've come to talk with you again. Iconic lines from the Simon and Garfunkel song, The Sound of Silence. What a dichotomy. The sound of silence, right? Is it loud? Is it deafening? Or is it like a whisper? We're going to explore all aspects, pitches, and avenues of silence as we discuss our voices today on Doubleshot Espresso.
Such a beautiful introduction, and I completely agree that it's not only the uncomfortable silence or the silence of avoidance. I think today we are also talking about the silence that teaches, the silence that heals, the silence that allows us to hear that which the noise drowns out.
Mm.
And here's the irony, because we spend years learning how to speak, and yet very few of us learn how to be silent.
Mhm.
So maybe some of the answers we've been searching for over the course of our journeys of life have been waiting patiently inside the very silence that often we try to escape by the noise and distractions of life and living. So today, rightfully, as Aisha said, we're talking about that power of silence. We're talking about when silence can be harmful to us, when silence can actually heal, when finding your voice is so very important, when quietening the noise within is equally important, and how we can juggle up practical moments during our day where we can seek out and find those precious moments of silence.
How beautifully put, really. And I love this topic. I was thinking about
Yes,
this,
it's
and
just so beautiful.
so beautiful and so much to talk about, right? But let's explore first off, because अक्सर जब कॉन्वर्जेशंस होती हैं तो एक ऑकवर्ड या अनकंफर्टेबल साइलेंस होती है,
Uh-huh.
राइट?
Yeah.
तो ये क्यों होता है, एंड व्हाट आर सम ऑफ द रीजंस फॉर दैट?
Yeah, let's dive into that. I think, we start off saying कि जब silence uncomfortable होता है और वो कहीं दफा you strive for that relationship when silence is no longer uncomfortable. But of course, as you rightfully said, that there are moments when that silence just makes us uncomfortable. So I feel that silence becomes uncomfortable when your distractions of everyday life, basically you're surrounded by constant stimulation these days. The way our lives work, with our phones and all of the other stuff that we are constantly distracted with, I think that busyness often distracts us from our own emotions, our own inner compass, and that's when the silence can seem awkward or uncomfortable because we are distracted by outside forces. Maybe it's our phone, maybe it's the busyness of our lives. And I remember this one person in my life used to always ask me, "How are you?" And if I said, "Good, Alhamdulillah, busy," and he said, "Good busy or just busy?" Because
Busy,
there's a
busy.
difference,
Yeah.
there's a good busy, and then you're just busy doing a whole lot of things and you're feeling like you've not done much. So, yeah, I think that would be one of the reason. And then also I feel silence is uncomfortable when it because that silence makes you come close and sit up and close and personal with what you've been avoiding.
Mhm.
So sometimes when you're not seeing yourself in the mirror, so to speak, or
Hmm.
not sitting with the things that you want to actually pay attention to, that you need to pay attention to, I think that when that silence comes in, that could feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I think also there's a fear of loneliness
Yeah.
and a fear of rejection or being ignored when silence leads us to feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, and very rightfully said, because see, loneliness and solitude are two different things.
Mm.
So when silence is dipping into loneliness is when you will feel it's uncomfortable. But when you seek out solitude, it is such a peaceful feeling. And I think so many of us now crave for that me time.
Yeah.
That me time often is just silent time with yourself. So I feel that yes, definitely loneliness and solitude का वो जो फर्क है, I think उसको भी समझना बहुत जरूरी है.
Do you think people reach for their phones when they are when they
Yes.
have those moments of silence,
Absolutely. And in fact,
right?
there's I remember watching a reel on it where they said that, okay, that's it. Sit with yourself for 10 minutes and let your phone be in front of you and don't touch it.
Oh,
Because, you're so used to these days, like the minute we have a, empty 5 minutes, empty 10 minutes, we are just scrolling and, just information overdose. So to be without the phone by itself can make that silence very uncomfortable. Very true.
right, right. Also, the television,
Yeah.
right? People want that background noise, and the funny thing is, like, the TV just goes on the whole day.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, to be honest, guilty. Because when I first moved to this country, I think I had no friends. We were still settling into the home, and my licenses were not there to practice as yet. So, all of that, while it was being done, I was just feeling very empty and lonely. So, you
Hmm.
realize again how loneliness can then have a, disadvantage over silence. So, then I just needed that TV on all the time
Yeah,
because that made me feel like something's happening. There's a
something.
distraction.
Right. How about when we sleep? We want white noise.
Yeah, yeah.
Those days
This,
of silence when you're sleeping are gone.
yeah.
I know.
Those crickets, like Alexa and
Uh,
the Google, they have that white noise of the night, which also has the crickets
cricket.
coming in from time to time. So it makes you feel like you're sleeping outdoors.
Yeah. So that's all excellent points. And are there different types of silences?
There are so many different types of silences. I think first let's talk about relationships only. I feel in that by itself, there you have those awkward silences and then you have the comfortable
Comfortable.
silences. So
Hmm.
when you may know the person for eons, but the minute there's an elephant in the room or there's some kind of misunderstanding or whatever, how awkward
Hmm.
that silence can feel. And then when you just know the person and you have a great rapport or relationship, that same silence can be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
we've all felt that. um,
Absolutely.
the other kind of silence I feel is also the silence of when you want to say something but you choose
Not to.
not to. And I think that
Intentional.
that intentional silence sometimes can feel very challenging on on yourself, because there are so many, like you're dying to speak up but then you choose to stay silent. I think that takes courage.
Yeah, we'll go over this. Let's take a caller. Let's
Uh-huh.
see who's going to kick off the show for us. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Walaikum
ब्यूटीफुल लेडीज
assalam.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम, कैसी हैं शाहिदा
हाँ
जी?
जी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह doing good. Today is a better day and watering the plant and silence में जो है अपने आप को I am feeling peaceful.
Good.
This kind of silence is different
Yes.
silence also,
You
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 know.
you said the
लेकिन
first thing, which is there is peaceful silence. So yeah.
हाँ जी that's right. लेकिन एक और बात अभी आपने टीवी की भी बात की ना तो आई हैव लाइक द रेन थिंग और जहाँ पे पानी फ्लो कर रहा है आई हैव दैट ऑन आल्सो बिकॉज इट मेक्स मी रिलैक्स
Mm-hmm.
बट ऊंची आवाज में नहीं बिल्कुल बहुत मध्यम उसमें जो है
Mm.
नॉइज में जो वो करके तो देन दैट इज आल्सो इट जस्ट automatically I think it does take care of some anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and those kind of things जो है
Yeah.
तो एक और जो मैं बात करना चाह रही थी वो ये थी कि in relationship lot of time when somebody gets silence that is not the sign of कि उन्होंने हमारे साथ compromise कर दिया है that kind of silence is actually dangerous silence
Yeah.
क्योंकि वो सब चीजें ट्राई करके एंड में जो है लेकिन हमारे माशरे में lot of the in-laws and lot of the husbands and or the wife or vice versa when the other person gets silence और बच्चे भी if they get silence और बच्चों के साथ parents get silence
Mm-hmm.
so then it is taken like okay now they are fine with us it is like they have compromised they are like and then जो दूसरा बंदा होता है देयर आर सो मच थिंग्स गोइंग ऑन, तूफान अंदर चल रहा होता है, लेकिन दे डू नॉट नो कि उसको किस तरह वो हैंडल किया जाए, बिकॉज दे आर सो दे हैव गिवन अप, इतना ज्यादा वो हो जाता है.
बिल्कुल.
तो हाउ डू यू एड्रेस तस्नीम दैट
Mhm.
कि उसमें किस तरह मैसेज दिया जाए जब किसी को बोल के भी नहीं होता, साइलेंस से भी उसको समझ नहीं आती, और जो बंदा साइलेंट हुआ है अंदर से वो खुद टूट रहा है,
Mhm.
और person is like, I don't know how to do it. So, agar you can address that, that will be great.
All right, perfect. And I think there are two aspects of this. You're also talking about silent treatment, which is used as
Yeah.
a form of control, and we'll definitely talk about that. And then the other one is indifference almost, right? Where you're like, all right, I'm done with this relationship. I
Yeah.
have checked out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Radio Azad, you're on the air.
जी तस्नीम आयशा अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
Walaikum
Walaikum
assalam.
assalam.
सवाल ये है मेरा कि तस्नीम आयशा के बाज लोग बहुत क्यों बोलते हैं, बाज लोग चुप 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 शा का रोजा क्यों रखते हैं? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन दैट पर्सनालिटी और पर्सन? सो व्हाई दे वांट टू टॉक टू मच, चाहे वो जरूरी हो ना जरूरी हो। बस दूसरा ये कि जैसे प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं तो इतनी ज्यादा इस न्यू जनरेशन को बम्बार्डमेंट हो गई है, और हम क्योंकि कंबाइंड जॉइंट फैमिली सिस्टम से हट गए हैं और न्यूक्लियर फैमिली है, सो पुराने जमानों में हमारे साथ कजन्स, दादा दादी, नाना नानी, अंकल आंट, तो अब वो हम उस चीज से दूर हटके हम न्यूक्लियर फैमिली में माँ है और एक माँ बाप है, बच्चा है, so there is nobody to share anything, so we all feel to be on some platform to have that company. तो वो फिर कंपनी जो है उसकी आदत इतनी ज्यादा हो जाती है आहिस्ता आहिस्ता कि उसके बगैर नहीं रह सकते, दो इट इज वर्चुअल फिर भी। सो बहुत लोग यही इसी तरफ जा रहे हैं कि बच्चों को या बड़ों को भी जिस इससे डगर से हटाएं कि वो क्रिएटिव हों, सोचें, कुछ अपने लिए टाइम गुजारें, कुछ साइलेंस में। सो आई डोंट नो जिनके बिजनेसेस हैं और जिनको इस प्लेटफॉर्म से कुछ ना कुछ काम लेना है, दे कांट हेल्प, लेकिन हाउ टू, एक माँ बाप हैं जो सारा दिन जॉब करते हैं, वो कैसे अपने बच्चों को इन चीजों से हटाएं? बड़ा सवाल, मतलब माँ बाप के लिए बड़ा चैलेंज है आजकल के दौर में ये सब। So I don't know, लेकिन मेरे लिए तो साइलेंस, I started enjoying silence now because it brings creativity, कुछ पोएम लिखना, कुछ सोचना, कुछ अपने ख्यालात को वर्ड्स देना, तो that early morning is my silent time.
Yeah, perfect.
So, okay,
thank you. So this is where the platforms come in, right? That was, we were just talking about that we reach for the phone instead of sitting in silence.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, that ties up with boredom in that sense, because I was reading an article on the joy of boredom as well, that we've lost that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that boredom has you do nothing. It's just about sitting in silence, because in boredom is when new ideas come, new solutions to old problems, new ways of doing things, or just a random, just new initiative that you'd like to embark on. I think all of that is born out of the joy of boredom. And exactly like what Shanazji was saying, that gives so much impetus to creativity. So having those soulful silent moments is where all of this is birthed.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to the different types of silences. So Shaida ji talked about the peaceful silence, जैसे कि meditation हो गया, prayer, reflection. You have those awkward silences in conversations, a first time meeting somebody, interviews, even family get-togethers. You can have respectful silence, जैसे कि memorials पे, funerals, or listening very intently like our listeners love to do to us. Intentional silence is what our caller was talking about, when we're choosing not to argue, taking time to reply. And then the forced silence, right? Jahan pe you're silenced by fear, or there's abuse or oppression. governments, when they are oppressing their people, क्या करते हैं वो, they silence dissent, है ना, and workplace intimidation as well. But silence can be very powerful as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that increased creativity is a huge one, and those moments of greater self awareness which come from that.
Yeah, and even when you're healing, like because in my profession, I have seen so many people, if they have had a heartbreak or they've had some kind of grief or loss or pain that they're going through, you kind of withdraw and you kind of take that moment of silence for yourself. And then that's a short period or a longish period where life is going on, but you have gone within and you're in that sheltered silence. That's important for healing. So the healing silence, the kind of marries into the intentional silence, because you're choosing to take that step within, to withdraw for the time being till you're in that process of healing and you just want to be in your own cocoon, so to speak. Yeah.
Cocoon, that's such a good word.
Gee.
Right.
And then, as we talked about in the beginning, right, the comfortable silence, because those are blessed people in your lives with who you can share that comfortable silence and not feel the need to fill that silence with words or any kind of noise or activity or anything. You can just be in each other's space and be comfortably silent.
How do you know when that comfortable silence turns into uncomfortable silence?
I think you feel it within you. You're uneasy. Your body is not at peace. I mean, as we discussed, I think in a previous show, that your body gives you signals way before your mind does, that you just start feeling that restlessness. You don't feel at peace within your heart and your soul and your mind. And I think that's when you just know that this is no longer. And in fact, I remember, I don't know if I'll be able to remember the quote correctly, but the quote said that when rapport dies, formality comes in.
I love it.
So, when that relationship dies, when that feeling between two people or group of people is diminishing or is dead, that's when you'll start becoming formal with each other. And when you start becoming formal with each other, that's when silences get awkward. Because I think for silences to be comfortable, you need to be in complete and full acceptance of each other without having any judgment, and that's when that silence becomes beautiful. The minute you're still wearing a mask, or you're guarded, or you're formal, then you're still putting up a front, whether it's a positive or not, but you're still masked. And I think therefore that silence then might feel awkward.
And there's an absence of laughter also when
there's
that
no
happens.
humor, right?
So is there any way to change that uncomfortable silence and that formality back to...
Yeah, I mean, of course, relationships, this beautiful world that we live in, and the gamut of relationships, communication always helps. But again, it takes two to tango, and I think we may have talked about this on another show as well, that you can extend an arm in solving conflict or in resolution or in friendship. But when that arm is repeatedly not met with reciprocity, or if not the same level of enthusiasm, at least some level of enthusiasm, then it's best to let that relationship be silent and rest, so to speak, for a while. Because I feel in that equation of two, if you're talking about silence where there's one or more, then it definitely is a two-way street. So you can resolve that uncomfortable and lead it into comfortable by having an honest, raw conversation and sorting out whatever was obstructing it. But at the end of the day, it needs two forgiving people who are have a growth mindset to be able to go past whatever it was that was blocking it.
Is there power in silence?
Absolutely. So much power in silence. And I think we'll talk about all of those instances when keeping quiet is the wise thing to do. But just to talk about the advantages or the power of silence, I think the fact that, like sometimes just like basic level पर ये तो सबके साथ हुआ होगा कि जब आप गुस्सा होते हो and you choose silence in that moment, कितना मुश्किल होता है कई दफ़ा. It's really hard because your ego, your emotions, everything is dying for you to actually say something. But when you walk away having chosen silence and learn to regulate your emotions before you go back, it lowers your stress. It gives you the power in that situation because now you are not reacting, you're responding, and it makes you come across as the emotionally mature person, not only for yourself, but also for the opposite person and any bystanders who are witnesses of that situation. So that by itself, it allows better decision making. Therefore, because you've taken that time, you're not reacting from emotion, you are responding from a thought out, putting the yourself in the other person's shoes, being taking the whole situation as a whole and not just thinking from yourself. It increases creativity. So that's the power that we discussed. I think Shahnaz, you talked about that. It really deepens prayer. Have you, how much more sukoon do you feel when you are silently praying rather than when there's like even in masjid sometimes I feel like kitni awaaz hai, why can't people just keep quiet, everyone's praying. But I mean, I do understand there are children and everyone's hustling and bustling, but that joy of silent prayer just deepens that spiritual connection between you and the higher power. रिलेशनशिप्स को स्ट्रेंथन करता है, जब आप चूज करते हैं कि भाई ये सिचुएशन को मुझे लेट गो करना है, या ये सिचुएशन पे मुझे चूजिंग योर बैटल सो टू स्पीक.
Especially, I feel relationships with your kids.
Yes, absolutely. Or I think you've talked about it on a previous show that you choose your battles with your children, because imagine if every battle is a war, then
house is in turmoil.
House is noisy, I'm sure. So choosing that silence is important. It strengthens relationships with your children, even with your teammates. I mean, as leaders and as managers or whatever capacity of supervision you're doing, I think the ability to let things go sometimes by choosing silence rather than criticizing in the moment or highlighting something it goes a long way in building the camaraderie between that individual as well as the teammates and the team as a whole. लिसनिंग को इम्प्रूव करता है. कितनी दफ़ा हम जब लोगों को सुनते हैं तो वी आर ऑलरेडी फॉर्मिंग आवर रिप्लाई इन आवर माइंड, एंड आई थिंक that is a learned, practiced art of listening कि जब आप silent रह के सिर्फ सुनते हैं तो आप कितना ज़्यादा सुन सकते हैं. So I feel that's important. In fact, just recently, I think I put a reel out where we tend to do this. Like, when somebody's like saying something, we want to finish their sentence.
Yes.
We want to fill in with the word that they're searching in their mind for, because we know what it is and we are faster than them, so we can do it. But no, hold off, because that silent behavior of yours in that moment will just make that person so very valued and listened to. And you never know, maybe जो आपके दिमाग में था, maybe उनका meaning कुछ और था, कुछ और निकलेगा. So allow that silence to be there in that conversation as well.
Lovely. All right, let's take a caller. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
हेलो ladies, क्या हाल है?
Hello. कैसी हैं स्केफ जी?
अल्लाह का शुक्र, दोनों को बहुत दुआ प्यार. और मैं समझती हूँ खामोशी जो है ना, वो अगर जानबूझ के अपना इंसान अपने सुकून के लिए करे तो उससे बढ़ के कोई अच्छा मेडिटेशन नहीं होता है. हर रोज मैं जब नेचर को देखती हूँ तो वो खामोशी देखती हूँ, आसमान के ब्लूनेस पे, आसमान के हाइट्स पे, और वो चिड़ियों को देख के ऐसी खामोशी होती है जो दिल को बहुत सुकून देती है. तो हर रोज 10 to 15 minutes at different parts of the day I'll take out time for myself and I'll tell Rafiq I'm going in peacefulness mode and I won't be saying anything. So we both practice that for peace, for happiness. And the other time which I do is when I'm in my 5 times namaz. जब मैं दुआ मांगती हूँ तो इतना सुकून रहता है, क्योंकि एक तरह से आपका अल्लाह सुब्हाना ताला से कनेक्शन हो रहा है, आपके क्रिएटर के साथ कनेक्शन. सो यू आर जस्ट कॉन्सेंट्रेटिंग ऑन दैट. और मैंने देखा वो हार्ट रेट को कम करता है, ब्लड प्रेशर डाउन करता है, और इतनी अच्छी फीलिंग्स आती हैं जैसा आप सुकून का दरिया नहीं बहता है उस तरह से. तो वो तो बहुत अच्छा है, मगर मैं वो भी जानती हूँ जब साइलेंट ट्रीटमेंट्स होते हैं लोगों के गुस्से की वजह से या ईगो की वजह से या रिलेशनशिप्स के मामले में या प्रोफेशन बॉस या अपने एटमॉस्फेयर प्रोफेशनल एटमॉस्फेयर में जो खामोशी रहती है, टेंशन, दैट टाइप ऑफ साइलेंस आई डोंट लाइक. बट साइलेंट ट्रीटमेंट्स तो हर किसी को एट डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द लाइफ में मिले हैं, मगर ओवरऑल आई प्रिफर साइलेंस deliberately 3 or 4 times a day. Khamoshi से 10 minutes a day I do that. So I feel that silence is golden at different times in your life.
Yes.
वो बहुत important है, rather than erupting and all that. खामोशी इख्तियार करना बहुत होशियारी होती है.
Yeah.
मगर जब आप जानते हैं कि रिलेशनशिप में प्रॉब्लम्स हैं और साइलेंट ट्रीटमेंट मिल रहा है, that even further deteriorates the relationship.
Yeah.
So different aspect है. तो एक नगमा है खामोशियां, बड़ा खूबसूरत सा है, उसमें बड़े अच्छे. And then another thing, कुछ भी ना कहा और कह भी गए, कुछ कहते कहते रह भी गए, या मेरी बात रही मेरे मन में, कुछ कह ना सकी उलझन में.
क्या बात.
So ये different scenarios हैं, you have to deal with that.
बहुत
So
खूबसूरत.
what an excellent topic.
Yeah.
And I'm listening whenever I get time, inshallah. Again, अभी मैंने कहा कुछ भी हो मुझे बोलना है खामोशी के ऊपर. अपना ख्याल रखिएगा दोनों. Thank you both of you.
Beautiful, SKFG. Appreciate you. And yes, we are going to talk at great length about silent treatment and how it differs. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
आयशा देखें एसकेएफजी भी शायरा हो
I know.
सुन रही हूँ मैं.
Exactly. I was just thinking the same thing कि यहाँ पे ripple effect बहुत ज़्यादा effective है.
I love it.
Tasneem, I think it came from you.
Yes.
And to me from Azad ji also. मैं ये कहूँगी कि when we are silent, we observe things, we understand more, we perceive more, and we get solutions more. क्योंकि हम अब चुप रहते हुए, क्योंकि और not only that, we get the strength, or I get my strength in silence. And it is my सुबह, चाहे वो आप नमाज पढ़ के साइलेंट बैठें, मेडिटेशन करें, प्रेयर करें, जो भी करें. Today I was just sitting outside. It was raining and पानी के जो कतरे थे, it was sort of meditation, you know. इतनी खूबसूरत बारिश थी. So I think कि जो लोग ये चीज का गुल जान जाते हैं, I think वो इसको अंडरस्टैंड करते हुए, मतलब हम बहुत सारी चीजें बोलते हुए मिस कर जाते हैं. लेकिन आप दोनों से एक और सवाल मेरा होगा कि रिलेशनशिप में, डीलिंग में, कहीं पे भी, हाउ मच पर्सन शुड बी, हाउ मच टाइम शुड बी कीप साइलेंट और क्वाइट, एंड हाउ मच percentage should we participate and speak? I don't know balance कैसे रखें इस चीज.
क्या इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है ना?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Shanaz ji. So her question is, in a relationship, what's the balance between talking and staying silent? I think it really depends on the person.
Yes.
Like Tasneem is so talkative, so she speaks 90% of the time when we're together.
Exactly. I know. And imagine कि मैं इतनी talkative हूँ कि मेरे सामान भी खुद ब खुद गिरते हैं. कि सारा ही सामान भी बात करना चाह रहा है. So right now my handbag, actually, ladies and gentlemen, was sitting happily perched on a chair across from us, and it just decided to have a life of its own and said, silent? No, I'm not going to be silent. I'm going to speak too. So my handbag has decided to drop.
Jin booth, maybe.
वो भी बात कर रहे हैं. सारे ही हैं इकट्ठे यहाँ पे स्टूडियो पे.
Right.
But I mean, yes, there's no actual percentage like psychology says or human behavior says that this is the ideal percentage. It depends largely from person to person and situation to situation.
Absolutely. Achha, it's very interesting because there's some people who, if I say, okay, oh yeah, I'm very quiet, they start laughing and they're like, okay, we can't shut you up.
Yes.
And there's some people who are like, oh, she's so quiet.
Yes.
So it like really depends on your relationship.
Yeah, and where you're at. And also because I don't know, for me and you, speaking for you, so correct me if I'm wrong, deep down we are introverts. Deep down we both are introverts. So you put me in a large group of people and I'm very quiet.
Huh.
That's not because I am not friendly or I'm snooty or I'm not enjoying the company, but I am an introvert. So I do better with one-on-ones and smaller groups. That's just the way I am. And I know Aisha for a decade now, imagine. So I know that the same for her. I mean, just that
Yeah.
our jobs, our professions, and our lives and lifestyles put us in front of a lot of people. And Alhamdulillah, we do that well too. But
So you got to listen
Yeah.
to my show from last Monday
Okay.
where I talked about this, and there is a category called ambivert.
Yes.
And I was explaining things. I was like, oh my God, this is me, this is me, this is me, and
Yes,
you.
absolutely. Yep.
So we
Yep.
are ambiverts.
Yes, I would agree to that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But we talked about the advantages of silence. There are disadvantages of silence, and
Absolutely.
we will go over that. And then in the next hour, we will spend some time deconstructing what silent treatment is all about.
बिल्कुल वैसे ही करते हैं। तो थोड़ी बहुत डिसएडवांटेजेस की बातें कर लेते हैं बिकॉज़ वो तो बहुत ही ऑब्वियस होंगे ज़्यादातर लोगों उनके बारे में देखते होंगे कि अगर हम बोलते नहीं हैं तो हालात कैसे हो जाते हैं। दुनिया ही एक एग्ज़ाम्पल है उसकी। I feel there's so much going on everywhere, and out of choice or out of no choice, we are silent as spectators of what is happening. Unfortunate and really, really sad situation. But having said that, I feel unspoken needs become unmet.
So
Needs.
true.
So, people cannot respond to needs they don't know exist. So we often just expect our spouses, our children, our closed ones, our friends, our business partners to know. He or she should just know how I tick now. But the truth is that they just don't. And
Cannot
a
read
lot
our
of times
minds.
people are not good at that mind reading and being emotionally intelligent about situations. So it's really important to let them know, speak it out, let your needs be known. And because if you don't, I think it quietly builds resentment over a period of time.
Bilkul.
And small frustration sometimes deep resentment बन जाते हैं because आपने इतना लिया है इतना लिया है इतना लिया है कि फिर cup totally full है. And I see that so much in marriages because I do a lot of couples therapy. When you didn't speak in the very beginning, so what you allowed continued. Now the cup is full and you all of a sudden are making a hue and cry about it, which is very difficult for the opposite partner to accept or digest or understand because they are used to a certain way of being. So really important to speak up early and speak up respectfully and politely, but fearlessly at the same time. Problems become bigger. I think that's another disadvantage of silence कि जब हम चुप रहते हैं तो जो छोटी प्रॉब्लम वहाँ पे छोटी तरीके से सॉल्व हो जाती वो फिर जाके बड़ी प्रॉब्लम बन जाती है और फिर बड़े सॉल्यूशंस ढूंढने पड़ते हैं उनके लिए.
Yeah.
So silence allows assumptions to fill the gaps.
I love it. So
When you're
true.
silent, your mind is just overthinking it, rehashing it, and just going in a loop, and it's filling in with assumptions कि ये हुआ होगा, ये सोचा होगा, वो सोच रही होगी, ऐसा सोच रहे होंगे, and that just makes a whole bigger problem in your head out of the existing problem, and you slowly lose your sense of self. Because जो आपके वैल्यूज थे, जिस तरीके से आप अलाइन होके चीज़ें करते हैं, लाइफ में फंक्शन करते हैं, अपनी लाइफ गुजारते हैं, उससे आप दूर हो जाते हैं. And you start behaving like many times, I think I've talked to you privately about it, but sometimes when I'm working in team dynamics that I'm not used to, they're new to me, or perhaps I'm not comfortable with those team dynamics. If I don't speak up and I stay silent, I find myself going with the flow and getting dragged into a being that I don't align with anymore. That's not the person I am. And then by that time, I've allowed too much to happen. So then you're just going with the flow. So I've kind of learned from those lessons and speak up early and speak up kindly, politely, but fearlessly, because you're doing yourself a favor as well as whatever it is that you're working on, be it the marriage or be it the relationship with your children or your team or your colleague or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And then when there is abuse as well, then it's very important, to
Absolutely.
speak up, right?
Absolutely.
Can't stay silent on that. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
नमस्ते आयशा जी.
नमस्ते, कैसी हैं?
ठीक हूँ। मैं आपका अभी थोड़ी देर पहले शुरू की साइलेंट पर कह रही है ना, ये है कि
खामोशी पर।
हाँ, खामोशी पर। हाँ। खामोश होना मतलब समटाइम्स जरूरी है, लेकिन ये नहीं कि हम कोई बात अगर सही कहना है उसे न करें, चुप हो जाएं, ये अच्छी बात नहीं है। हमें एक्सप्लेन करने से बता देना हमें जरूरी होता है कि हमें नहीं, हमने ये सोचा है और आप ये सोच रहे हैं, गलत है
जी,
क्योंकि ये जिंदगी है, जिंदगी को चलाना है दोनों लोगों को।
बिल्कुल, कम्युनिकेशन बहुत ज़रूरी होता है, क्योंकि कभी-कभी आप कट ऑफ नहीं कर सकते। कोई फैमिली मेंबर है या कोई कॉलीग है, आप नहीं कट ऑफ कर सकते।
नहीं।
तो फिर आपने कम्युनिकेट करके यू हैव टू मेक द बेस्ट ऑफ द सिचुएशन एंड गेट द इश्यू रिजॉल्व्ड. Or if not resolved, you have to make peace with it, right?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, just a few more points here is that even relationships lose their authenticity. Like, if you're quiet for too long, people will just know a version of you. They will never really know you. I've spent most of my 20s doing that. And therefore, I think when I came into my own person, people were like, who is this person? Because I'm so used to not being who I truly am. So it gets you more closer to yourself. It allows people to see the real you. And if you don't say anything, others assume you're okay.
Oh, goodness, yes.
And silence is often mistaken for agreement. I've realized that too, that people don't think that you're being the bigger person, or okay, sometimes you want to choose your battles and let it go, but if you're doing that too often, people just assume your silence means agreement, when inside you're like actually screaming to say something. And opportunities therefore pass you by, opportunities for your ideas to be implemented, opportunities for you to be seen for who you are, opportunities for you to ask for help, opportunities for you to just share an idea. So I think so really important. There are 3 questions that I kind of ask myself when I find myself struggling whether I should speak up or should I just let this one go
down.
Yeah, so those 3 questions I want to share with you all. Hopefully it may help you too. So the first question is, am I staying quiet because it is emotionally intelligent or wise of me to do so, or because I'm afraid of something or someone? So am I staying quiet because I am emotionally intelligent or being wise right now, or am I afraid of something or someone?
So afraid may be something like that. You're afraid that the relationship may end.
Yes. Or you're afraid that there'll be consequences to me speaking up. Or you're afraid that I'm just afraid of the person. Sometimes I've been in that position where I'm literally afraid of that manager because I know speaking up is going to have me, I'm going to face the music for actually opening my mouth. So you're like, forget it, let me not speak up. So is it the person? Is it the situation? What is it that you're afraid of? Weigh those pros and cons. The second question is, will remaining silent improve this situation? Will remaining silent improve this situation? In the short run, in the long run, based on your unique moment, circumstance, will remaining silent improve the situation or simply delay it? Yeah, because sometimes you're just delaying it and making that crisis even bigger because you chose not to speak up at that time. And then the third question is, 1 year from today, will I be glad that I said nothing?
Whoa.
Because if that answer to that is no, I'll be like feeling like I didn't do myself justice or I didn't do the situation justice, then speak up. Otherwise, let it go. So,
and it's also important to understand that these may be cycles. You may withdraw, not speak up. The same thing happens again and again. You don't speak up, and you stay silent, or maybe you did talk, you suffered the consequences, and then you withdrew again. I mean, it could be like this
any kind
pattern.
of combination. And in fact, just last week somebody said कि यार अब तो हो गया ना, अब जाने दो, अब मैंने कुछ नहीं बोला इस वक्त, अभी 2 हफ्ते के बाद if I reopen, it's going to sound childish and it's going to be as if I'm like holding on to it and all. And I think I told my friend and I said, see, if it's really bothering you to date, you are rethinking it and overthinking it or whatever. So that means it's playing on your mind. So you need to get it out of your system because it's important to you. So if you want to reopen, you can actually pick up the phone even after a gap and say, hey, I've just been quiet about something that really matters to me. And this is about what happened 2 weeks ago. So use this as an opening statement. Hey, I've just been a little quiet about something that actually really matters to me. So that's your opening door statement to reconnect the dots to something that has happened in the past and which you feel like, yaar, main usko kaise wapas leke aun. It really matters to you. You need to talk about it.
And if the person really matters to you, then you need to talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And if that person, you matter to that person will actually value the fact that you took the time out and talked about it.
All right. You're listening to Doubleshot Espresso on Radio Azad 107.9 FM. HD4. Save us to your favorites in your cars and make life easy for yourself. We're also available on the Radio Azad iPhone or Android app, Alexa, and Google as well. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch all of our shows. It's Radio Azad team. And give us a follow on social media where you'll find all of our wonderful clips on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook as well.